Okay, we are live. Hey everyone, welcome to our magical marketing prediction session. I'm joined today by two incredible marketers that I've been following for years. Emilia, VP of Marketing at Userpilot, and Allison, VP of Marketing at O'Reilly. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having us.
Thanks. So we are going to have a very honest conversation about predictions, marketing strategy, and how to actually make smart decisions in 2026. And before we start, let's just see who is here. You can just drop in the chat where are you joining us from, and have you already made a bold prediction for 2026 in marketing specifically? Because my LinkedIn feed lately is like completely drowning in predictions, and I'm sure yours is the same. And the sad part is that it's not something new. It's just SEO is dead, AI will replace marketers, email is dead, and I keep seeing the same predictions just recycled. So if you have a prediction that is not on LinkedIn yet, please drop them in the chat. We'll be discussing them later with Emilia and Allison. Hello, everyone in the chat. Okay, so let me properly introduce Emilia and Allison. So Emilia leads marketing at Userpilot. So she's right in the middle of all the trends we are seeing around PLG, AI, product-led everything. And she's also sharing lots of tips and learnings about ABM. Emilia, do you want to add anything?
That was perfect. So nothing more to add. Very excited for this session. I think we'll all learn a lot from it. So again, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Emilia. Allison, I think O'Reilly has been around since like 1970s, if I'm not mistaken, and you worked there for more than 20 years, right? So
Right
you
on.
have literally lived through every single marketing prediction that we have seen, right? So I think this year is about AI, and we're gonna hear your prediction too. Do you have anything to add about your experience with O'Reilly?
Just that I've seen a lot of change over the years, as I'm sure Emilia has too, when it comes to marketing and the audiences that we're trying to reach. But I will say I do think it's a very exciting time for marketers right now. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, Allison. So as you can see, we have the perfect combo here, someone navigating the modern SaaS marketing and someone who has seen multiple generations of predictions come and go. So what we're going to do today with Emilia, Allison, and everyone that's watching us, I want to actually figure out how to use these predictions in your marketing strategy. How do we separate like signals from noise, and how do we build strategies that work even when our predictions are wrong? So I've prepared a poll to start to see how do you currently use industry predictions in your strategies. So let's see. Let me start the poll. Okay. Let's see. Do you build your entire strategy around the predictions? Do you use them as starting points to test, or do you mostly ignore them? Let's see what people are going to say. And what do you guys think? Emilia, how do you base on your strategy around the predictions?
Well, I pick a mix, because if the predictions are like very, tactical, and typically they are, then, like it doesn't really make sense to be pulled in all directions after reading, say that, well, the prediction that the last few years is, for instance, that, voice search will become the next thing before AI became the next thing, and everybody forgot about voice search, for instance. So I try not to be swayed by, like these general kind of trends. But I do, of course, keep tabs on what is changing in the market and how we can basically achieve better results more efficiently. And, I wouldn't definitely ignore the AI trends and the new basically tools and models that are coming out. That's pretty much something new every week. So kind of coupling that with, a reasonable approach to these predictions, I think this is a very, like important thing to do. And this is how I'm trying to navigate them.
Yeah, I feel like there is so much pressure to have an opinion on every prediction that drops on LinkedIn. Allison, which one would you choose?
It's same, the middle. So I think it's a starting point. I think it's something that you watch. If you completely change your entire strategy every time something new comes out, I feel like you're never gonna, meet your goals. So I think you have to, as a marketer, you really have to take your audience into account, your business into account, and then watch the predictions and see. I also think talking to other marketers, especially in your space, helps to see, what they're doing, because there's a lot of hype, right? And especially you mentioned LinkedIn, like you go to LinkedIn and people are like, I'm making millions of dollars off of doing this one strategy. But that's just one person, and it becomes sort of this echo chamber. So I think getting out there and talking to other marketers as much as possible helps as well. But then looking at your own data, and again, looking at your audience, is that relevant for our business, and then taking it from there. But definitely a starting point. You have to pay attention, but you don't have to follow everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we have a winner here. It's the middle one. So let's stop the poll and start the questions. Okay. So I think, yeah, my first question is going to be kind of like a follow-up to the poll. So Emilia, let's start from you. When you are building your marketing plan for Userpilot, how much do you actually rely on these industry predictions versus just watching what your customers are doing and what worked last year?
Well, I can't only look at what worked last year, right? Because
I think.
Did we lose her?
Emilia?
I'm back.
She's here.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I was saying I can't ignore, the predictions or like the general trends. I wouldn't, like get hung up on the word predictions here because, well, basically these are people's reactions to the trends in the market and the advancements in technology in general. So it wouldn't be, sensible to completely ignore them and just look at what worked in the past, because what worked in the past will soon likely not work anymore, considering the changing conditions. So I very much take the changes in technology into consideration and plan accordingly. That doesn't, entirely mean I'm throwing everything that has ever worked or we've ever done out of the window immediately. But I am, for example, right now making active steps to change, maybe not our go-to-market strategy, because that does depend largely on, your customers, your ICP, where they are currently available. Basically, you have to design your distribution, so your go-to-market strategy around this. But I am looking at ways how to make our operations a lot more efficient with AI, and through that, basically, for instance, free up more marketing budget that can go towards distribution.
Yeah, because you are not completely ignoring predictions, but you are kind of like filtering them, right?
Yeah.
And in that case, like, what makes a prediction credible enough for you to actually test it versus just like scroll past it?
I've never really thought, there isn't a particular benchmark. I would say that I look at a certain checkboxes on the person's profile that is making this prediction, and then decide that, oh, this person is credible enough. I rely on my own research and observations, and if what I'm reading is kind of aligned with what I am also experiencing, then I'm a lot more likely to basically accept it and start exploring how to implement it more in my go-to-market strategy.
Allison, kind of like a similar question for you. You have seen so many predictions, as I mentioned before, prediction cycles at O'Reilly. And what pattern do you see in predictions that end up being wrong versus ones that actually matter and end up being right at the end of the year?
Yeah, it's hard because a lot of the predictions are sort of evolutions of something, right? Like something's changing over time. So it's more of I call it more of a trend than a prediction. Again, it's hard to say because it depends on your business, but I would definitely say as much as possible, if you can test into these trends, right? Like instead of throwing all the money in there, is there a way to test it first or kind of tiptoe into it to see if it works? Again, looking at your own data, that what's worked in the past. A good example of this, like for our business, for instance, is like the AEO, GEO, right? Like that's very, it's trending right now. It's definitely a prediction. But then when you look at our data, it's like, yes, our organic traffic is significantly dropping and our traffic from LLMs is significantly increasing. So this is something that we need to pay attention to as a company. And how do we, get more visibility in those LLMs? So it's things like that where it's like, there's a lot of hype around it, but you also have to look at your own data and say like, okay, yeah, this is a thing. Like we are seeing the same thing. Email's another one, right? Like you mentioned, email's a dead channel. So going back and looking like, are our emails actually producing pipeline right now, or are the other channels kind of bubbling up? So it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to say if there's like a certain criteria that makes a prediction have legs or not. But I think you very much have to rely on kind of your own, what's worked in the past, what are you currently seeing, like to Emilia's point, doing your own research to see if it's something that you want to explore.
Yeah, so when you are evaluating a prediction, whether it's about AR or AI or events or whatever, you're basically asking, is this a fundamental shift in what people need or just a new way to deliver what they already need?
Right. Is this just a fun campaign we can try real quickly? Or is this like fundamentally changing, what we're doing here and how we're reaching our audience? So yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, we are like all kind of mistaking a trend for a strategy because AI is hot. It's not a strategy, but when we are using AI to solve X specific problem for our customer, that can become a strategy. And you know what I've been noticing, Emilia, you work in space where things move very fast, right? PLG, product analytics, ABM, these trends evolve constantly. But I'm seeing this interesting shift where marketers are becoming more like product managers. Are you seeing that at Userpilot? Are you seeing this trend also?
Product managers, I wonder what you mean exactly by that. What is the product here?
I mean, like marketers are becoming more like product managers in terms of like starting using AI coding tools like Coursera, Lovable, and the barrier to building is getting so low that marketers can actually prototype now. We're not
100%.
launching campaigns anymore. We're actually involved in building features.
Yeah. So, in my like immediate environment, I wouldn't say I'm actively building features for the end users of our product, at least yet, not at this point. But definitely we are building or vibe coding as it's been, like referred to recently. Different like micro apps, micro tools. We are able to, like vibe code our own landing pages, websites, interactive, elements with backend. For instance, the predictions submission landing page that you did. Did you vibe code it yourself?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, yeah, but this is the kind of things that we are doing. So basically building interactive marketing collateral that goes beyond, like the traditional definition of marketing collateral. And that has definitely changed. And to kind of refer back to the point that Allison has brought up, like the distribution channels themselves are changing. So, SEO is changing, the behaviors of our target customers or target prospects are changing as well. So we need to take all of this into consideration when basically aligning the tools that this new technology is giving us with, what people want to really interact with, because there's no point in building resources when you have no way of distributing them, or if this is something that people don't want to use anymore. To give you an example, we vibe coded a bunch of calculators that we thought would be, useful, but then it turns out that people didn't really want to use them. So yeah, it's again a strategic question: what makes sense investing in, and how is it going to reach your target audience?
Yeah,
I would add to like what is the goal, right? Like what's the business outcome that you want? It's great to vibe code something, but what do we do? What's the goal of it? What are we trying to get the customer to do?
It can be a very helpful tool. And yes, I see the marketing teams are becoming more like GTM engineering teams, but it can also be a big distraction.
Totally.
And do you use that strategy, Allison, in your company at O'Reilly? Does your marketing team do vibe coding for creating any features or any landing pages?
Yeah, we've started. And a lot of times it's to solve a particular problem. Like, for instance, we do a lot of trade shows, and we always have like this lockbox game that people can try to pick a key and open it up. Anyway, but we ended up spending a lot of money shipping this around the world. So it was like, instead of, shipping these keys and having these keys made, could you just vibe code something where they put in, a code and that's it? So it was like, and that was easy, right? So somebody on my team took, an hour and built it out, and it was perfect. It solved the problem. But I would say more than vibe coding, we're using more of like gems and things like that to help our sales team find the information that they need. Sales enablement rolls up to me. And so our sales enablement team has been really good at building out various gems and things that our sales team can use to help them, with their outreach or with their research and things like that. Yeah. Again, going back to like, what's the goal? Like, we don't want to just build stuff just to build stuff, right? We want something we'll use.
Yeah, true. And when you see a prediction that contradicts your current data, like your data says X is working, but everyone is saying X is dead, what do? Do you listen to your data, or do you dig into this prediction to see like, what is it about? Should you change your strategy because everyone is claiming that X is dead?
Yeah, I think you don't necessarily change everything, but again, if you can test into it, right? Like, try it and see, because your own data is very telling, especially when it comes to like generating pipeline and things like that. So you don't want to completely shift what you're doing, but if you can test in a small way to sort of this trend or prediction, and then adjust accordingly to see how it goes. I think every marketer takes a small piece of their budget, right, for experimentation. Yeah. And planning and things like that. And that, I think, is more important than ever right now, especially with so many new things coming out and having to kind of rethink everything that we're doing.
How about you, Emilia?
Yeah, similar. I mean, I don't want to completely ignore, something that is kind of, becoming a very, very topical issue. So if people are saying SEO is dead, even though it is, say, still our main acquisition channel, I am mindful of like the reasons why people claim it is dead, and how, ignoring these maybe like doomsday scenarios now could backfire against us in the future. So I definitely investigate, and I definitely try to always have, a second leg at least. So a moat around our go-to-market strategy that would make us less vulnerable in case, a sudden algorithm shift or a sudden development in technology across one channel would eradicate a certain source of basically acquisition for us. Yeah, so preparing early, that's why I'm talking so much about AV. I'm sorry to jump in, but I think it's important to add, I used to be entirely focused on SEO in the early days when, like ChatGPT and AI or AIO wasn't even on the horizon. It wasn't a topic of conversation in marketing at all. And SEO has been incredibly helpful for us, but we've seen as soon as AI has become a thing, we've seen like the early signs that this channel may plateau in the future. So we started like investing into building a completely independent channel, which is account-based marketing for us. And that has basically, towards the end of last year, become like, kind of equivalent channel to SEO for us. So we feel a lot less vulnerable now.
Yeah. Now let's get more specific about the predictions. I want to know what you are actually doing for 2026. So Emilia, maybe you can start. Like, what is one thing you are betting on where you are actually allocating budget, building campaigns, or reorganizing team structure? What prediction is driving that decision?
I have a big one, and for this year, I'm really excited about it. It is, if I were to pick one thing, it really is one thing for me right now. It's context engineering. So basically creating a single source of truth for the entire marketing team, and not only. I call this project the marketing brain project, because it's basically a shared database of all our, of course, curated, because, junk in, junk out. So we need to make sure that any resources that have become outdated or are irrelevant at this point are not going to make it there. But it is a basically structured database of resources in a GitHub repository that comes from different sources, different marketing functions, and also external inputs. So, for instance, all our sales calls transcripts. This could be all of the customer success conversations, all our competitive intelligence that we would automate the updates for. And then this would be linked to different, basically, marketing collateral templates. And through Claude Code, for instance, most likely we haven't settled yet. We did some experiments with Windsor, where we have done some experiments with Claude Code. We would be automatically generating and updating this content and marketing collateral based on the shared knowledge. Because what is happening now, and what unfortunately happens across all marketing teams, and not only, is that some tacit knowledge does not, disseminate across the marketing team. And some team members, for instance, the product marketer learns about a new feature or a new pricing update to one of the competitors that is, for instance, significant for sales enablement collateral, and goes directly and updates the sales enablement collateral, but forgets to inform the content team to update their respective blog posts, right? This kind of loss of information and loss of context can be totally prevented if the knowledge is stored and updated centrally. So this is one big bet I'm taking, and this is going to impact all our marketing collateral, including outreach, including competitive intelligence, product marketing, content marketing, and ABM as well. Because we can just, feed the call transcripts or information that we have collected from Clay, for instance, third-party, first-party sources on our target accounts into this marketing brain, and then also use it to produce ad copy, to produce individual landing pages, etc., etc.
Yeah, I really buy this vision, because it also, I think we have been in a lot of situations where someone leaves and suddenly no one knows how that process worked, or we are reinventing the wheel because we didn't know a solution already existed. But I kind of want to play devil's advocate here. Won't this only work if the culture of the team changes first? Because the same teams that currently don't document their processes or share their knowledge, will giving them an AI tool suddenly fix that behavioral problem?
It will require a mindset shift, and it will require a change of thinking how we approach work. Because in fact, all of us are currently reinventing the wheel every day. Every day when you're creating any marketing collateral, you're making a lot of decisions that are in fact redundant because you have made them before. So you're, for instance, choosing images to illustrate certain points in content. A lot of times you're, choosing the same screenshot from some folder. You're basically regenerating, even when you're doing it manually, you're essentially regenerating the same content over and over.
Yeah.
And just the pure process of selecting the right screenshot, finding it on a Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever internal database is taking time. And across several team members and several repetitions of this process, this is a huge efficiency loss, which downstream causes massive financial, unnecessary financial impact. So imagine, you just waste an hour a day and across, a 10-person marketing team, that's already 10 hours a day, that's 50 hours. So that's more than a working week per day, right? So this is basically, per week, sorry. This is basically huge investment. And you're also wasting basically the time that you will waste on waiting for this marketing collateral to be created, because you need the help of a designer and you need to make all these choices that make the whole process longer. Also means that your ads in the meantime are less effective because, for instance, you have a lower quality score for your Google ads. because the landing pages are not completely aligned with the keyword intent. That means you have to spend more on your cost per acquisition. That also means you need to use more tools. You need to hire more people. I've been calculating we can easily save $10,000, per month if we implement this process in like a really MVP way. So this is something that I, put my high hopes on. Speed and quality and a significant savings. That's going to be the downstream outcomes.
I'm really looking forward to see the results. I hope you're going to share
same.
And just to add, I mean, I completely agree about the time it takes to find the information. Like, how many times have you had a conversation where it's like, oh, it's in that one Google Doc, or, oh, we did it in that PDF, let's do that same thing. But then you're all running around trying to find that thing.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So you spend a lot of time kind of searching for information, especially when it all lives in different systems. Yeah. So I love that idea, Emilia.
Allison, same question is for you. What's your big bet for 2026? What are you building your strategy around?
Yeah, so for us, it's definitely AEO, GEO. And the reason is that O'Reilly has never been great at SEO. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them being budget, internal expertise, that sort of thing. But when you start looking at, okay, are we showing up in these LLMs when people are doing a search and we're not showing up and we should be? It's concerning, especially when 95% of people use an LLM in their buying journey, right? And we're not even showing up. So for me, it's related to content, right? It's producing that sort of like educational content that people need to make a decision in their buying journey, getting that on our website in a way so that LLMs can crawl it and that we can be more visible. O'Reilly has this really interesting challenge. We've been around a long time, and we're a book publisher. That's what we started with for technical professionals, and we are very well known for that. And there's a lot of brand, equity there. People love us. They don't know we have a learning platform, which is what the bulk of our revenue is from now. It's an online SaaS learning platform for tech teams. And so they'll be like, oh, I love your books. And it's like, well, do you know our learning platform? Like, oh no, I didn't know you had a learning platform. So getting that out there, and it's been, 10 years since we've had this learning platform. So for us, it's about kind of, we already have that brand equity. We have that trust and credibility, but we need to shift that into our learning platform, not just the books that we publish. And so my big bet is definitely on the AEO, GEO, because again, I see it in our data. I see our organic traffic declining. I see the LLM traffic increasing. We're targeting tech people, so they're obviously using LLMs, day to day, in their daily work. So for us, that's where it's at. And we don't, for us, we're a pretty small team. And so we don't have that internal, in order to scale it, we don't have the internal resources. So we've actually partnered with a company called Pepper Content that's going to help us kind of produce some of that content, optimize the content, help us with the strategy based on keywords and things like that. So overall, it shouldn't, if it all goes well, our SEO should improve as well as our AEO, GEO results.
Nice. Hope you're going to share the results so we can learn from that too. You also mentioned that there is a lot more competition for attention and everything starts to blend together and sound the same with AI. Yeah. And actually, I want to push on this a bit because I think there is this trend toward human first content now. And like basically people buy from people they trust, not from faceless brands. And are you seeing that? And is O'Reilly thinking about building more personal media properties or making your team members more visible?
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. So, I think face-to-face is more important. And like I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of trade shows and events and things like that. And we've seen over the years that be one of our biggest source of pipeline because it gives you someone has an attachment to a human at the company. But I also think, it kind of filters through everything. It's what are our employees posting on LinkedIn? What does the copy look like? One of the things we're dealing with right now is everybody does sound the same and we sound exactly the same as our competitors. You could take their logo off, put ours on. And so how do we differentiate ourselves, not only in our tone, but in what we're saying and in our product? It kind of infiltrates like the whole go-to-market strategy. And so it affects content, it affects everything really. And I think the more human we can be, stop using the buzzwords, stop using the jargon, and just be a real, have humans behind the brand, the better. The other thing for us too is we have this huge network of talent, what we call talent, but other people might call them influencers, but they're people who produce content and put it in our platform, and they're well known in their space. Leveraging them to help get the word out as well, because they're just as much the face of O'Reilly as the employees are. So very much leveraging that network for marketing, sales, is also kind of a high priority this year as well.
Yeah, we have got a lot of predictions like that on Predict 26 too, the platform that we created for the webinar. So we have heard your predictions and strategies, but before this webinar, as I already mentioned, we also gathered predictions from dozens of marketers. Let me bring it on stage. So we want to get your takes on the ones that got the most upvotes. We're gonna go through the top 5 predictions. So here you can see up to here. So we're gonna discuss top 5 predictions here. And and everyone watching, drop your predictions in the chat also. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. So let's start with the top voted prediction. It's this one. So AI handles the content, humans close the deals, and in 2026, offline events won't just survive, they'll become B2B's best conversion play. This got 57 upvotes from other marketers. Emilia, what's your thought on this? Is this already happening, you think, or it's something that is going to happen in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, it's never like a seismic shift, or almost never, when, something wasn't happening on the 31st of December and then it starts happening on the 1st of Jan, right? So definitely we've seen these trends coming for a long time, and AI does increasingly handle more and more content and handles it increasingly better and better. But we do have to remember that, as we said earlier, junk in, junk out. It all depends on what you feed the AI and how you structure not just the prompts, but the context within which it operates. So basically we call it Claude skills now, for instance. So giving it different SOPs essentially for executing different content related tasks. Offline events, that's kind of like, there is a lot to unpack in this prediction because I feel it consists of a few different ones. Offline events will become B2B's best conversion play. Again, the most popular answer in marketing, it depends. It depends on execution. Events can be a huge waste of time if there is no monetization logic to your product, right? And a lot of people just join out of curiosity for education or entertainment. But if your event does not really showcase how to solve a very specific problem that needs to be solved with your, ultimately it will be very, very hard for you to convert that interest into deals. So I would put a caveat here that it depends on execution.
How about you, Allison? Is it because digital is becoming less effective, or because events are getting better, or something else? What's your take?
I think digital channels are crowded, right? And I just think in general, as humans, we get so many notifications and things flying at us all the time. And then AI has definitely increased, I guess, sort of like your you question things a lot. Like sometimes it's like, did a human actually write this? Is this a real person? Is this a bot sending me this? Is this company real? That sort of thing. So when you meet someone in person and you have a conversation with somebody at that company and it's a good experience, then you've now got that sort of relationship, that human to human connection, which I think is incredibly important. But to Emilia's point, it does definitely depend on your execution of the event. It depends on the type of the event and getting the right people in the room that you're targeting. Just to throw money at events can be a very costly endeavor. And so you've definitely got to have a strategy there. You've got to work in tandem with sales. We see a ton of success with our events that we do, but we also partner very closely with the sales team. And we vet the events very carefully to make sure it's the right audience and that it's a good use of our time and budget. But yeah, I mean, face-to-face is not going away. I think in this era where everything seems to be like AI generated, you definitely want that human connection to somebody at that company, because humans still buy from humans.
Yeah, exactly. I think this connects to what we were talking about earlier. People buy from people they trust. Events force that human connection in a way that AI generated content can't replicate. You
That's
can't
right.
fake a live conversation at a conference, right? And there is actually a research from, I think it was Forrester, showing that buyers who attend in-person events are 50% more likely to convert. But also Gartner's data shows that the average B2B buying group is now 6 to like 10 people, and you are never getting all of them to an event, right?
That's right.
So maybe the prediction should be like events become critical for a specific part of the funnel, rather than events become the conversion play.
That's right. I mean, it's all a piece of the puzzle, right? Because you'll talk to somebody in an event that's on the buying committee. They then introduce you. You know, it's all just, you're never going to get the entire buying committee at one event.
Exactly. And I also think that this ties into a bigger trend. It's not just about offline events, it's about any human interaction, like webinars like this one, live streams, anything where you prove there is a real human on the other side and not AI generated something.
Yep.
And I actually want to ask our audience what they think about this. So let me start this poll. So what do you think about the in-person events? Are they going to outperform digital channels for B2B conversions or no? Okay. People, yeah, I think they are more towards doing in-person events.
Oh.
Do you think, yeah, in-person events will outperform? Yes, yes. Okay, we get for 50-50. Yes, and they'll matter, but they won't lead.
I will say too, I don't think events replace digital. I think they all work together.
Yeah, like as a part of, let's say, even ABM strategy that you
Correct.
can build. Okay, I think we have got our answer. I can stop the poll. And our next prediction, let me bring it up. It's about anti-advertising, unhinged comments by LinkedIn company page profiles, irreverent and ungrammatical writing styles, human over AI, basically. So what do you guys think about this prediction? What's the line, though? I think because there is a refreshingly human, and then there is trying too hard, no? How do
Yes,
you
I
find that
agree.
balance to not be too like arrogant?
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to being human again, right? So if you're commenting on LinkedIn or it's just showing personality. I don't know about being unhinged. That might be a strong word.
It depends on your personality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jonas is here. Actually, he can. Yeah, Jonas from Unmuted is here. He wrote this prediction. So yeah, let's
But
see.
I mean, I do agree that like the more human you can be and not having this polished, comments or posts and things like that is definitely more important. Because again, it just shows your human side. It helps you stand out, right? Instead of sounding like everybody else.
Yeah, I think what's really happening here is that now that we have AI everywhere, where everything sounds the same, looks the same, feels the same, anything authentically human stands out.
Yeah.
Okay. Jonas, if you have anything to add about your prediction, just drop in the chat. Okay, in the meantime, we'll jump to the next one, which is about SEO. So SEO blogging makes a comeback. Everyone who said SEO is dead because of AI will finally understand that LLMs cite blog content heavily. This one is from Sophie, actually from Userpilot. Emilia, you want to take this one?
Yeah, of course, I have to agree, right? But on a more serious note, yeah, what Sophie mentioned here is just like very commonsensical. Like there is no LLM or AIO without, SEO. So LLMs cite, web content, and basically, yes, they may have a slightly different way of prioritizing what content to cite. But it is largely based on reputation. So previously, we were competing for maybe, the first 10 places in the SERPs on a specific query based on a combination of domain rating, backlinks, strength profile, and a few other factors like UX, right? And now all these factors will still matter. For whether the LLMs decide that your source is a credible source of information to cite your content or to mention your brand in a specific context. The only thing that is changing is the bias towards, I would say, external placements and unlinked brand mentions. So in the past, we were very focused on traditional link building, and we were sometimes neglecting the aspect of actually contextually mentioning our brands. For instance, what's very popular now is adding your brand to listicles. Why this works is because if your brand is mentioned across several different blogs or websites in the context of like best tools for the specific use case that you want to position yourself for, the LLMs are more likely to then actually mention your brand in the context of someone, searching for best tools for a specific use case, rather than just citing your content as a source. And this is, the outcome that we are all looking for here.
True. Allison, you have been creating content forever. SEO has been dead how many times until now?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think this is definitely, it's not dead, right? It's just shifting and it's changing, and it works in tandem with other, to Emilia's point, like other people need to talk about you as well. So it works, what's your strategy on Reddit? What's your strategy on review sites? Things like that to get even more credibility and show up more in LLMs. So yeah, I agree with this. I don't think it's dead. It's just shifting. It's changing.
Yeah. And are you investing in SEO content for 2026, or your investments are all going towards GEO and AEO?
It's both. It'll hit both, right? It'll hit the keywords plus the prompts. And so if we can create content, high quality content that hits both things, that's the goal. It all, again, all works together. It's just a different kind of shift in the way that you do it.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, our next prediction is about memes. Memes will appear in ChatGPT answers finally. What do you think of this? It feels like a future request, but yeah, what do you think of this one?
I mean, I think it's fun. I'd love to see the memes that pop up here. I guess, time will tell how this impacts our marketing plans and kind of like the business outcomes that we're trying to get to. Like, will the meme in ChatGPT help generate pipeline? I don't know, but it would be great content, right? Help with that, help with visibility, help with awareness, things like that.
Yeah. Emilia, how about you?
I have no opinion. I think, like ChatGPT basically starts bringing up relevant images to illustrate specific queries already. So if a meme happens to be the right, visual to illustrate a certain response, then it will probably bring it up, or probably already has.
Okay, and our last prediction from top 5 is about webinars. Webinars will become the favorite content type for many marketers. It's the only way they can build trust in a world full of AI. It's basically the same version of the in-person events, but for webinars, again, for creating trust. What are you thinking of this one? Are you investing in webinars? Allison, you can start maybe.
Yeah, for us, it's interesting because we are a learning platform and we have live online training as part of our learning platform. The way that we're treating them, not necessarily calling them webinars, but it's a sample of the content. So it's opening those up to the general public so they can go in there and experience those live, interactive sessions with our experts. So yes, always investing in this because, like I said, it's content that we have on our platform and that's what we're selling. So it's a great way to get people in there to see see what they're going to get with a full subscription for their team. So yeah, 100%. And I do think the more interactive you can make these and the more, sort of like hands-on, the better, because they become more memorable that way as well.
True. And it's the need for authenticity, I think, and the human connection again, as for the in-person events. We all need a proof that there is a real person there. And
That's
I can confirm that this is already happening, this trend, that it's broader than just webinars. It's about any format where you can't fake it. Live streams, podcasts, in real events, content that shows personality and taste. And as AI gets better at generating kind of perfect, but soulless content, the human stuff becomes more valuable always.
Yeah. Especially if you have a global audience, like most events are in major cities, right? So if your audience is global, you have to do virtual events to reach them, and show kind of that, not only teach them, right, educate them, but also show that human side of your brand.
Exactly. Emilia, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think webinars are a way to scale, like what we found in the first prediction, these in-person events, if done well. And, like you can save a ton on running webinars instead of a live event a lot of times. Of course, you can't quite fake networking and meeting someone over, I don't know, a coffee or a glass of wine. That's not exactly the same, but when it comes to spreading brand awareness and knowledge about your product, it definitely is a comparable channel. It's the only way they can build trust in the world full of AI. This is an interesting take. Webinars definitely allow you to show the human face behind your brand and build credibility and expertise. So I would lean towards agreeing with that. I wouldn't say it's the only way, but it is a good way.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm seeing some predictions from the audience. Let me pull a few predictions, and also we have some questions also. So Martin, will you guys try ChatGPT ads even if it's $60 CPM?
100%. Yeah. I mean, we know our audience is there using ChatGPT. So we would definitely test into this. I'd be curious on the targeting and how that works, but yes, for sure.
Emilia?
Yeah, I would definitely try them, like that $60 CPM. I mean, I've seen similar and even higher CPMs on LinkedIn ads. So honestly, is it that daunting to me? No, not really. But what Allison mentioned, it's very important that we are able to target, the right accounts accurately. And apart from LinkedIn, that's a perennial issue, how to target, people in the right companies and not to, for instance, retarget your competitors or, students and people that you would naturally disqualify.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah, I mean, with any ad channel, right, or digital channel, all comes down to how well can you target, and is your audience actually on that channel?
True. And next prediction is from Martin again. So I'm betting money that a new anti-AI social will emerge in 2026, will be here to stay, and will push for algo retunings of other socials. What do you think, Emilia, of this prediction from Martin?
Anti-AI social will emerge and be here to stay and will push for algo retunings of other socials. So we mean like the Brave or DuckDuckGo of social media platforms? Maybe, but I think it's still going to be a fairly niche, platform catering to basically the concerns of the cybersecurity sensitive minority. So, as usual, the pool of social media platforms is the network effect, right? So there is a certain first movers advantage to the ones that are already popular. It might happen, but I wouldn't personally, worry about it as a marketer.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think social will continue to play a big role in marketing, but I'm not sure like the anti-AI social, how do you necessarily keep AI out, right? And I think that's what this means, like, like the AI bot comments and things like that on LinkedIn and the algorithm favoring certain things. I think that, from a social standpoint, those companies are always going to have an algorithm that favors their business outcome that they want, which is typically revenue. So, yeah, I agree with what Emilia said. And yeah, I definitely think there's probably some truth here.
Another question from Martin again. Do you have internal AI champions that push test tools? What AI tools are your most used in the teams? Allison, you want to take it?
Yeah. So for us in this past year, it's been a lot about experimentation, because all of the tools that we use, like our marketing stack, right, they all have put in new AI features. And so for us, it's been like, is this a feature that is actually useful to us, or is this just noise? Or is this just saying, like, we have this AI feature just because that's the trendy thing? So for us, it's been about looking at those features to see, is it useful? I will say things like Gong, for instance, we're a big Gong user. Their AI features are fantastic, and they really helped us to kind of pull out great information from those calls and use them in our enablement and marketing materials. So that's sort of been our big push in the past year. What AI tools are, and then of course we use like Gemini and ChatGPT and things like that for content. And like I mentioned earlier, we create a lot of gems for our sales team to help with customer research and crafting, emails that are personalized and more relevant. But I think there's a lot more to be done for sure. I love Emilia's idea of using like sort of the marketing brain and using AI to create that for the organization too. So I think it's all, we look at it all, right?
That result.
Yeah.
Emilia,
Hmm.
how about you? What tools are you most using? What AI?
Currently, Claude Code and ChatGPT still. I would say we're trying to avoid, like using LLMs. I mean, we're not trying to avoid it, but I'm trying to push my team to kind of build a more comprehensive solution, as I mentioned, and use the LLMs like across the board rather than using LLMs as within, like specific tools that have implemented them and have become kind of wrappers for these LLMs. So yeah, as I mentioned, like literally ChatGPT is our most used tool, followed by Claude, and so we basically use the modals directly. Internal champions, I would say we have a full-time GTM engineer on the team. So this is his bread and butter, and he definitely comes up with ideas how to innovate. We use Clay extensively, but again, we use the OpenAI, our own OpenAI API within Clay. So again, we use it as a wrapper to perform a certain action and pull certain results from the data that we have pulled into a Clay table, basically regenerate all the different columns into like one consistent summary, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And our last question is from Rashi. What are your thoughts on Meta subscription of ads and non-ads customers?
You mean using Facebook with or without ads, for instance, right?
Rashi, if you can specify.
Yeah, I wonder, does this mean they can opt into ads or not on Meta properties? Is that what that means?
Let's see if Rashi is here. Yeah, I hope. If you can, Rashi, if you can drop in the chat, what do you mean with Meta subscription of ads and non-ads customers?
I will say for the first time, we had left Meta channels several years ago, just based on like some of the political stance and things. So we left them as a company, and we just went back this past year. And so we're very much in testing mode on Meta. But the one great thing about Meta is it has very good targeting, similar to LinkedIn, which some of the other channels that we advertise on can't give us. So we're very much in testing mode on Meta still. And so far, it's inexpensive clicks, but then again, how does it drive to pipeline is yet to be determined on Meta. Emilia, I'd be curious if you guys use Meta at all.
No, we did some experiments several years ago. Again, due to like the limited targeting options for B2B, we haven't seen great results. I am planning to use Meta for very specific retargeting on no index landing pages for LinkedIn ads. So yes, I want to test it more. Oops, am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can.
I am planning to test it more. I'm not super concerned about this opportunity to basically pay Meta for not showing ads, because for us it's not a significant channel at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't realize they were charging customers to not show ads, but for us, it's not
new.
Yeah, it's not like a big enough channel and a big enough source of pipeline for us to be worried about it right now. I'd actually be curious how many people pay for that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We actually had a prediction on this on the website. Let me see if I can find it. If so, somebody was saying Meta ads are gonna be trendy again. I wonder if he's here in the chat. And yeah, here, Russ Halilov. Let's see if Russ is here.
I would say again, it depends on your audience. Is your audience on Meta, right? If you have a younger audience,
exactly.
they might not even be there. So it just it sort of depends.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We are running up on time. Let me just try to pull together what I've learned from this conversation in one sentence. I think it would have been predictions aren't the enemy. The enemy is treating predictions like facts. So, and yeah, thank you both for being so honest and practical and sharing all your knowledge with us, sharing your strategies and your predictions. Emilia, Allison, do you have anything to add before we wrap up?
Nothing really to add, but just thank you for having me. This has been a really interesting conversation. I think, again, as marketers, we need to continue to talk and find out what each other's doing, because I think it just kind of helps refine our plans as we go.
And likewise, thank you so much, Lucina. That was very interesting.
Thanks for being here. I think this is the best time to be in marketing, because human-centered content, actually human content, is finally not common. And your competitive advantage is literally being yourself and creating things with care. So thank you all for being here. Now go build something that works. And if your predictions turn out wrong, drop it fast and try something else. So thank you, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.